Welcome everybody to the Latin Nerds Network. My name is Jose and this is my review for Jurassic World Dominion. Of course, the third part of the second trilogy, I guess, of Jurassic Park. And Jurassic Park, man, I'm a huge fan of Jurassic Park. I love the first film, Steven Spielberg, back in 92, 93, whenever that was, a very long time ago. And ever since, and I don't think any of the sequels have really captured the magic from the first one, which, look, the movie's so good, and it's not an easy task to do, but I don't think it's even come close, to be honest with you. In terms of, this second trilogy of this Jurassic World trilogy, I liked the first one. I enjoyed it. It wasn't great, but it was entertaining. Had some fun moments. I like Chris Pratt and Dallas Bryce Howard together. Take away that stupid running in heels scene and all that against the T-Rex. That notwithstanding, the movie was decent. I enjoyed it. The second one, at best, was mediocre. It was all right. Again, had moments, but it was a huge step down from Jurassic World. And I'll say this one, Dominion, this is by far the worst out of the three, without question. I did not enjoy this film at all. It's kind of disappointed, to be honest with you here. And, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, so let me stay positive for a second. Let me kind of go over what I did like, because this is not a total train wreck per se. Number one, the dinosaurs, right? I mean, that's what draws in the crowds, right? And I get it. So it draws me in. The kid in me loves to see the dinosaurs on the screen, kick some ass. And this movie does have some cool action. A lot of got revealed in the trailers, but that's fine. But, it's still fun to see. It looks good. Not the CGI is not perfect, but it looks pretty well. But I'll say this, that when it comes to that, it's still very familiar, right? This is the sixth entry in this franchise, if you will. So there's nothing really new here. We've seen some of these same dinosaurs. Here we have a new version of a raptor. We've seen that kind of thing before. We've seen the T-Rex fight another giant predator. We've seen that, and this happens to see at the end of this film. So it just doesn't offer anything new in terms of that. But it's still cool to see that shit on screen. Of course it is. I like the cast. Chris Pratt's back. Dallas Bryce Howard. Although they're kind of short change here, they have a lot less screen time than we're used to from the first two films. And that's because they have to make way for the OGs, which I'm fine. Listen, I'm an OG kind of guy. So I like that they brought in, Dr. Ian Malcolm, Dr. Sadler, and Dr. Grant together again for the first time, all three in a Jurassic Park movie. We've seen them individually, and I think a couple at a time, but not all three together sharing screen time. It was cool to see that. I mean, it was pure nostalgic porn. But it was still cool to see that in there and integrating them with the new cast and all that. That was cool. But that being said, that was also kind of a problem. And I'll say this before I get to that specifically, is that, listen, this movie is about 2.5 hours. And it felt like it was 9. I swear to God, this shit just would not end. And it's odd to say that I was bored in a Jurassic World film. Even the other ones, right? They're not great, but at least they have some entertainment value. This one, I was just like, oh my God, going through the motions. Like, when is this ending? And okay, that's cool, but still, it's good. And the problem is, there's nothing interesting going on here. And it's too damn long. It's got too much stuff, too convoluted in terms of plot and writing, which doesn't really pay off at all. That's a problem, a huge problem, right? And, bringing in, Sadler and Alan Grant, as much as I like them, you really could have cut them out of the film if you want to. The only one who's really, and not, I won't go as far as say he's essential, but could have had a role and fit into both major storylines was Dr. Ian Malcolm, of course, Jeff Goldblum, who is there primarily more in the third act than any other time in the movie. And he's funny. He gives some good moments of levity. I like that character. Who doesn't, right? Chaos Theory and all that. That's still alive and kicking. But the other two, as much as I liked them, you could have cut them off. Or cut off Chris Pratt and Dallas Bryce Howard. You didn't need both couples. You could have just gone one way or another with this. It would have been a much more streamlined hour and 45 at best to our film. I'm not saying it would have fixed everything, but would have fixed one of the biggest problems this movie had, which is kind of unfortunate. Because we have the two storylines. We got one where Pratt and Dallas Howard are taking care of the daughter of the girl who was cloned in the second movie. I forgot her name. She's been kidnapped by Biosyn. It's the new company that's kind of spearheading the protection of the dinosaurs and whatever. But behind the scenes, they're doing a lot of DNA mixing and splicing, etc., creating stuff they shouldn't be doing. They kidnap the kid because they want to study her DNA. So Pratt and Howard go after her, and then the other side you have as Sadler and with Ian's help and Grant, who are there to uncover the truth behind these locusts that this company created, these prehistoric locusts which now threaten the food supply for humanity. Right, it's a huge threat. And it's sad to say the biggest threat in a Jurassic Park film are locusts. Really? I mean, I get it, but there was nothing interesting about it. And it's what's funny is they set up a cool world that dinosaurs now live amongst humanity, right? They're out in the open. They're in all other parts of the world. It's a new, CIA agency, a division that kind of spearheads the protection of this and the safety of dinosaurs. We have these poachers now who are out there trying to capture them, et cetera, et cetera. And I expected more of that, more of that chaos of humanity mixed in with dinosaurs, but we get none of that. They introduce it, but they don't do anything with it. The whole thing with the DNA, again, it's introduced, but they don't really do anything with it. There's nothing really interesting here going on. And as far as the writing, the characters are cool, but there's no character arcs. The villain is terrible. It's silly and dopey at times, particularly towards the end. Again, and we have, there's only so much cool shit you can see on screen. There's nothing else surrounding it. No good story to bring it together when it's too convoluted, too much going on. Nothing really thought-provoking at all in a Jurassic Park film, which is what I really liked the first one, where they really dove into whether humanity should interfere with nature and then messing with genetics, right? That's a cool concept. We get nothing here in that here. It's just everyone's just kind of going through the motions, right? And it just felt loaded, and it was just too much. And again, when the action is so familiar, when that doesn't impress you anymore either, that's a problem. This whole franchise has run its course. By far the worst out of the trilogy. And honestly, being bored, not a good recommendation for me. Obviously, I would not recommend this film. And if you're a huge fan of the original of the last two, you'll probably end up liking this one. Fair enough. Otherwise, buyer beware, right? Lower the expectations. You want to see some dinosaurs, you're gonna get that. Cool, and move on, because this is one that's just completely forgettable. And for Jurassic Park movie to be unforgettable, be so forgettable, it's unforgivable. Yeah, I knew I could get those words out of my mouth. So that being said, I'm not recommending it. I didn't enjoy this. Bored, disappointed were the best words I can use to describe this film. So if you guys watch it, I hope you like it. Comment below, let me know what you guys think. And of course, if you haven't done so already, subscribe below and feed money to go to the movies and talk about it afterwards. See you guys next time.